was still sleeping with this man after Hannah was born. Your Honor, matter of fact,
Is that true, Ms. Zachary?
Yes, I was. Because we decided that we wasn't gonna be together. We've been on and off for 5 years.
And we were on a break for a month. She just slept with him 2 weeks ago in my bed. She didn't go to his house. She didn't go to a hotel. It was the bed that we shared.
She came home, Your Honor. She sat next to me. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, I recognize that smell. I haven't had it in a while, but I recognize it. I said, you smell like sack. I don't know what you at work.
I'm doing that, but I'm at work all day, but that's how I come home smelling, really?
Sometimes you tell me you better
We're not gonna say how you smell when you come home from work.
Well,
Judge Lake introduces Ms. Cousin and her mom, who dragged Mr. Bell into court, saying he's the dad of her 7-month-old baby, Taquan. Mr. Bell fires back, saying he's not the dad and insists it's all a plot to mess up his relationship.
Ms. Cousin, you and your mother say you had no choice to drag the defendant, Mr. Bell, into court today because you're fed up with his lies. He denies being the father of your 7-month-old son, Taquan, and has even gone to the extreme by blocking all contact with you.
Ms. Cousin's mom doesn't hold back and launches into a full-on roast of Mr. Bell, calling him a 2-timing liar. With all this shade flying, Judge Lake turns her attention to Mr. Bell for his side of the story.
Fed up with his lies because he a 2-timing liar. He told my daughter that he was single, that he was not in a relationship because I seen his picture on her phone. When she started being with him, I seen how her attitude changed. I knew then that she was pregnant. I met you at a relative house.
Things go up a notch as Ms. Cousin's mom spills the tea about receipts she found for lunches her daughter bought for Mr. Bell. Judge Lake raises her eyebrows at Mr. Bell, ready to hear what he has to say about these lunch dates.
A whole weekend, yeah. And then not only that, y'all had lunch together.
Can she let her daughter talk?
She wasn't there. I go in her room, I found receipts with 2 combos on it. You know, at the end of the day.
2 combos
meal for lunch.
If she paying for it, of course I'm gonna take the food. She paying for it.
Yeah, and y'all in a relationship.
What you mean?
Destiny steps up, and wow, does she have a lot to say about how Mr. Bell used her like a walking ATM. The crowd is silent, waiting for Judge Lake's take on this bizarre relationship.
We met at this job that we was working at. When I first met him, he told me he wasn't with no one. I never slept with no one else at work. Every time I go out to get lunch, he right behind me. What you eating for lunch? Can you buy me something? Meet me downtown, tell me can I pay his phone bill every time I get paid.
When she should have been.
Were you paying his phone bill?
Yes.
Just when you think this story can't get wilder, Destiny's mom reveals how she and her husband have been covering all of Taquan's expenses. Judge Lake gives Mr. Bell a sharp look, clearly ready to hear his excuse.
Because me and my husband have been doing it for the last 7 months, buying milk, strollers, walkers, baby bed, car seat, everything. That take a toll on me. Destiny was on a good route, somewhere to work. Once she got that job, fell into the footsteps of him. And today, I'm walking in her shoes. I've been taking care of Taquan.
Mr. Bell's response is so chill, you'd think he's talking about the weather. Judge Lake warns him to get real, reminding him that his version doesn't exactly add up. You can tell the judge is about to unleash some major truth bombs.
What was the nature of the relationship in your mind?
We met at work. I only seen her outside of work maybe twice. We was never together because I had to go home to her. I was staying with her and my kid.
Were you flirting with her at work?
Yeah.
Now it's getting juicy. Mr. Bell and Destiny go back and forth about who told him about the pregnancy first, with Mr. Bell insisting he heard it from her manager, not her. Judge Lake gives Mr. Bell a side eye that says, I'm not buying it.
She didn't tell you, she told the manager and the manager told you.
And once I went to her and told her that it's not mine, the first thing, I don't want no baby by you anyway.
I don't want a baby by you anyway is different from the baby is not yours. Which did she say?
Both.
Why you lying?
Just give me up, man, so I can go on my life and you go find your baby daddy, man.
And now, the plot thickens as Mr. Bell's girlfriend, Ms. King, takes the stand, talking about how she found out about Destiny. Judge Lake's about to dig even deeper into this love triangle.
He gave me her name or whatever. I searched for her on Instagram. Of course I'm gonna search. I see Cortez is her profile picture, and I see her bio. She's like, oh, I love him. That's the one for me and stuff like that. So I requested her. I didn't really think nothing of it. It looked real immature to me because they didn't have physical pictures together. I wouldn't believe that they were in a real relationship.
Destiny doesn't hold back, setting the record straight by saying she and Mr. Bell were together 3 times, unprotected. Everyone's hanging on to see what he'll say next.
We slept together 3 times, unprotected, and he know that.
Where'd you all go?
We'll go anywhere.
Where we went? Where did we go?
In the car, it don't matter.
Where did we go?
And we went to the club with your cousin now. You know that.
So what you're saying is you all would go out or sure, but you didn't think he was in a relationship.
No, he told me he wasn't in a relationship when I first met him.
Hold on to your popcorn, because Destiny claims the one time Mr. Bell did see Taquan, he had the nerve to ask for, you guessed it, intimacy. You can tell the judge is just waiting for Mr. Bell to slip up even more.
Now, Destiny, you said he came to see the baby one time.
Yes,
but when he came to see the baby, he wanted to have sex.
He said, would you have sex with me? I was like, no. He's like, what, you scared of your boyfriend? And when he came, he had a flat tire. He asked to use my sister four-wayer to take the tire off. So my daddy was trying to help him. And when he came in to see Taquan, he said, oh, Taquan look like you and your mama.
Judge Lake drops the bomb.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Bell, you are the father.
Thank you, Lord Jesus. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Right from the jump, this whole thing is just bananas. Mr. Barlow's got 8 kids, and he says they all look like him, except for one, little Jabril, who he sure isn't his. Oh boy, things are about to get real messy.
Mr. Barlow, you say your 8 kids look exactly like you, but the defendant's son, Jabril, looks nothing like you. And that's because you're not his father, and you know who is.
Here we go, things are heating up. Mr. Barlow starts dishing out details about all these shady calls he made to Ms. Winslow while he was away, where she kept saying the landlord was over. The back and forth is pure drama, and we're not even close to done yet.
I believe she was sleeping with the landlord.
You do?
Yeah.
And that's not possible, Your Honor. The landlord.
Why do you believe that? What evidence do you have?
While I was away, I would call all the time, because I got a long past of infidelity.
A very long
so
history.
I left. When I went away, she said pay back some.
Okay, plot twist. The landlord is suddenly super generous and things get weird. Ms. Winslow explains that the landlord let her move in without a big deposit because she'd gotten scammed by another landlord. This story's only getting crazier, and Mr. Barlow's side-eyeing gets worse.
What I went to do is get my lights cut on, and they told me that the place that I was trying to rent wasn't even rentable. Therefore, I'm driving around in a U-Haul with no place to go. I come across a landlord. I have no money. I just gave my $2,000 to a landlord. Okay, well, since you don't have anything right now, and I see you with your 3 children in a U-Haul truck, when you get the deposit back from the previous landlord, then you can start paying me.
If you thought this couldn't get more awkward, welcome to Mr. Barlow's jealousy issues. Mr. Barlow's convinced something's up, and the way he's talking, it sounds like he's about to start a conspiracy club.
You know what the real problem is, Your Honor? Mr. Barlow didn't know what the landlord looked like, so when he finally saw the landlord, he was like, oh, I thought the landlord, when he found out he was around our age, that's when his insecurities came in.
I came home one time, I just popped
Honor.
up, right? I pop up one time, they crossing the street. I think the dude is stranger, because I ain't never met him yet.
Now the plot thickens. Ms. Winslow drops a hospital mix-up bombshell. At this point, it feels like anything could be true in this saga.
He doesn't look like me or Mr. Barlow, so now that leads me to believe the only way that this baby is not this man's child, he's not mine. I believe something happened at the hospital, and it would devastate me, Your Honor. I have a strong connection with my son. Now, if this boy isn't my son, that means not only do I have to find out.
Judge Lake tries to wrap her head around the baby switch theory, and you can tell she's a little mind blown. You can feel the tension as Judge Lake walks out, and everyone's holding their breath for answers. It's about to get real.
You pulled up research, and this is research that talks about the fact that there are about 28,000 babies that get switched at birth in the hospital every year. Now, sometimes that's temporary, but sometimes permanently. And you have so much doubt, not just surrounding the paternity, you're the child's mother because everywhere you go, people are asking you.
Cue the dramatic return. Judge Lake announces that Ms. Winslow is, without a doubt, Jabril's biological mom, 99% sure. So we finally have one answer, but Mr. Barlow's still on the fence. You know he's about to demand more proof.
These results state that the probability of maternity is 99.9999%. You, Ms. Winslow, are Jabril's mother.
That's all I needed to hear, Your Honor.
And I can see you're truly relieved.
It's a weight lifted off of my shoulder.
Time for some backstory, and it's juicy. Ms. Winslow lets loose about their on and off 11-year relationship, mentioning that Mr. Barlow has fathered multiple kids with other women while they were together. Mr. Barlow's jealousy is on full display, but the way this story's going, there's still more to come.
And I have never cheated on this man. I've been with this man for 11 years, off and on. He have not only had twins on me, but triplets as well. So it's not like a little simple thing like he hasn't done anything to me. Yes, as a woman, I stand here with my backbone, and I've accepted all of his wrongdoing.
Now things get official. Ms. Winslow whips out the birth certificate with Mr. Barlow's signature on it. That signature makes him legally responsible, whether or not he's the bio dad. It's getting intense, and you know it's all leading up to the big reveal.
The birth certificate, Your Honor, that Mr. Barlow so gracefully signed.
So, Mr. Barlow, this is your name?
Yes,
listed as the father on the birth certificate.
Yes, it is.
So
I was there during the delivery. I was there to sign the birth certificate because there's no way for me to say, this is not my child. I got 9 children. And out of those other 8 children,
the moment everyone's been waiting for, DNA time.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Barlow, you are the father.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, this is about to get wild. Judge Lake introduces the case, Thomas v. Zachary, where Mr. Thomas wants a DNA test to find out if he's really the dad of little Hannah. And let me tell you, things are about to get messy real quick.
Mr. Thomas, you claim you've been petitioning the court system for a DNA test for 15-month-old Hannah Thomas for more than a year now.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right out the gate, Mr. Thomas goes off saying he's been begging for this DNA test for over a year. He says he signed the birth certificate because he was tricked. Yeah, this dude's ready to bring some major drama, and it's only just beginning.
Now, you've been notified that you will be paying support because you signed the birth certificate, but claim it was under false pretenses. Now, the court will decide whether there's reasonable cause to grant you a DNA test today.
Oh, and here comes Ms. Zachary, already calling Mr. Thomas out. She says he knew all along he'd be on the hook for child support since she had to apply for help. She's got a totally different story, and you can just feel the awkward tension building.
That is a lie, what he's saying. He knew that he was going to pay child support because I received a medical card. I also received cash assistance. I have to cooperate with child support in order to receive those assistance.
Your Honor, me and Rakaya were separated towards July. August, we got back together, towards the end of August into September, she told me I feel pregnant. And we went to buy like maybe 4 or 5 pregnancy tests.
Mr. Thomas thinks he's got the timeline all figured out, saying he and Ms. Zachary got back together, and soon after she told him she was pregnant, he figured, hey, that's my kid. But oh boy, if only things stayed that simple.
Now, I found out that I was pregnant September 18th, to be exact with you. I went to that doctor's appointment and I came home. I handed him the papers. This is my results at the doctor. This is my proof of pregnancy.
No, Your Honor, I never received any paperwork, Your Honor. She said she was between 3 to 5 weeks. We got back together in August. We were having a lot of makeup sex, you can say. So I'm like, okay.
Now, here's where Mr. Thomas starts getting real suspicious. He says Ms. Zachary started looking way too pregnant for the timing she gave him. Things just weren't adding up for him. But little did he know, this was just the start of his head-scratching moments.
So you're doing the calculation in your mind and you say if baby was conceived in August, then
more than likely I didn't have any doubts that it was my baby. After a couple months, I'm looking like, wow, she's getting kind of big, kind of fast, She's, 5, 6 weeks. What's going on?
Okay, so this doctor's visit really sends Mr. Thomas's brain spinning. He sees paperwork showing she's further along than she told him. And he's like, hold up, those dates don't match. But hey, it's about to get even weirder as they keep talking.
Went to the doctor, maybe probably was about 3 or 4 weeks later, and he was telling me like, look, you need to be honest about smoking a cigarette. Here's her paperwork. And he showed me the paperwork and it said 15 or 17 weeks or something like that. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute, Your
No.
Yes.
The doctors asked her, told her, encouraged her to stop smoking, but you also gotta look at the paperwork.
Now let's talk about that break. Mr. Thomas is all, a break doesn't mean you start dating other people. But Ms. Zachary's like, yeah, that's exactly what a break means. These two clearly need a dictionary, but wait till you hear what Mr. Thomas says next.
Break for us is, I'm leaving out the house, I'm gonna go to my parents' house for a while, or you leave and you go with your mom or something.
No, that's
like
not
that.
a break.
That was a break between us, and we were always back together within a month's time. So it was still no excuse. A break is not an excuse to go sleep with someone and have a child by someone else at all.
Oh boy, this part's a doozy. Mr. Thomas says he signed the birth certificate after they had a secret deal. If her other guy stayed out of the picture, he'd keep things quiet. Not exactly the recipe for family bonding, huh?
And then you signed the birth certificate when you were at the hospital.
He had her sister come get the children. I came up to the hospital. I was with her the whole night, all until she had the baby. I was there. It was no problem. This was the agreement from the beginning. If the guy that I believe is Hannah's dad, if he didn't have any part, anything, I would sign a birth certificate and Hannah would never know a thing. This would be the biggest family secret that we ever had, and I had no problem with that.
Hold on to your popcorn, because this is where it gets even messier. Mr. Thomas drops the bomb that Ms. Zachary recently saw her other guy and even brought him to their shared home. Just when you think it can't get crazier, Ms. Zachary has something to say that'll make your jaw drop.
She was still sleeping with this man after Hannah was born. Your Honor, matter of fact,
Is that true, Ms. Zachary?
Yes, I was. Because we decided that we wasn't going to be together. We've been on and off for 5 years.
And we were on a break for a month. She just slept with him 2 weeks ago in my bed. She didn't go to his house. She didn't go to a hotel. It was the bed that we shared.
Enter Mr. Hill, Mr. Thomas's uncle, who just adds fuel to this blazing fire. He says he doesn't think Mr. Thomas is the dad, and even claims Ms. Zachary once showed him a picture of the real father. It's like a soap opera at this point, and Mr. Hill isn't done stirring the pot.
I don't think that he is the father of Hannah.
You don't?
And the reason why is because she just don't look like him. And another reason, one time me and, Rakaya was hanging out in the house. They had got into it. He had left to get some air. She had actually showed me pictures. I don't know if she was mad or I don't know if she was in the feelings or something. I had never told him this, ever.
Here we go, because this phone bit is just pure chaos. Mr. Thomas finds a contact on Ms. Zachary's phone labeled Hannah's dad. That's not even his number. His trust is officially gone. And now a DNA test feels more necessary than ever.
I was going through her phone the other day. I see Hannah's dad.
Really?
I see the number in Hannah's dad, it put a smile on my face, I'm like, oh yeah, I've been gone for a couple weeks, She got my name under Hannah's dad, we're getting there, and I look at it and I'm like, hold on. And I'm reading a text message, and I'm like, this isn't me. This isn't even my phone number. The rest of the kids come and tell me Hannah's dad was here.
Things get surprisingly sad here as Mr. Thomas pours his heart out about how much he loves the kids and worries he might lose his place in their lives. With the test coming up, all he can do is cross his fingers and hope.
Even my oldest daughter, she always, when I'm gonna see my little sister? I don't walk around telling people this is not my daughter. All of her kids look at me like their father. I'm their father. When I get in from work, it can be 2 o'clock in the morning, it can be 5 o'clock in the afternoon. They're choking me to death, trying to get up and hug me. Hannah, she's jumping up and down when I come through the door. I love the kids just like they my kids, and they are my kids.
Here it is, folks, the big reveal.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Thomas, you are her father.
Whoa, talk about a wild start. Ms. Petty is telling the judge that she wants her daughter, Alea, to have a dad because she didn't have one growing up. And hold up, because things are about to get a lot messier.
Miss Petty, you say you grew up without a father and claim you don't want the same for your daughter, Alea. Now, you've asked the court to DNA test 2 men who may be her biological father.
If you thought that was dramatic, oh boy, here we go. Mr. Daniel, the other guy getting tested, is Ms. Petty's current boyfriend, and he's been having dreams and nightmares about being Alea's dad.
Is the second potential father, Mr. Daniel, the plaintiff's boyfriend, who says he dreamed he's Alea's father and has nightmares he's not. So, Mr. Ball, please tell the court, why do you have doubt?
So the reason I doubt her is because she was sleeping around with me and Peter at the same time. The only reason I started messing around with her was to get my son.
This love triangle just got a whole lot weirder, and we're not done yet. Wait, what? That's just the beginning of the roller coaster. Mr. Ball says he's sure he's not the dad because Alea has Mr. Daniel's last name on her birth certificate. Just when you think things couldn't get crazier, they totally do.
I have proof why. Another reason why I don't believe that she's mine is because who last name is on the birth certificate? Mr. Daniels, if you want to see that.
I would like to see it.
She got Mr. Daniels' last name. If it was my baby, she would have had her with my last name like we did with our son.
I told Mr. Ball first that I was pregnant before I even told Mr. Daniel.
Oh boy, here's where the judge gets real with them. Judge Lake tells Ms. Petty that she's repeating the cycle of her own childhood by having a kid with dad drama. And just when you think they're all gonna calm down, they don't.
I want to look at this young lady because I feel like I'm watching a tennis match. My neck's just going back and forth, and you right here in the middle. And I need to know from you how you got here.
I grew up with our father.
Oh my God, there's no excuse.
How did you arrive in this where you have a child you don't know who the father is?
For the second time.
Did I ask for background singers?
No.
Okay, then I need you to be quiet.
Things just got a whole lot more awkward. Ms. Petty talks about how she had to deal with a bunch of bullies in school because she was dating Mr. Ballet. But spoiler alert, those school bullies were the least of her problems compared to what's happening now.
When I first met Mr. Ball, I fell in love with him. He told me about some stuff he was going through, and he knew what I was going through. Everything was fine, and then he left. And while I was pregnant with my son, I went through kids making fun of me about it.
I want to understand
One of his ex-girlfriends went to school with me, and girls were trying to gang up on me while I'm 5, 6 months pregnant.
What?
Woo, we're not done yet. Ms. Petty just casually admits she was sleeping with both guys on the same day around the time Alea was conceived. And, oh yeah, the judge is not impressed, but she's got more to deal with than she signed up for here.
So during the window of conception, about how often were you sleeping with each man?
I would have sex with them on the same day.
All she was trying to do was break a relationship.
How am I breaking up his relationship?
Because
He
every
came
time,
to me.
anytime,
I'm coming to get my son, but you know what? I got a little time to
and
spare.
every time,
She
didn't
not
I
in
get
the
my
car.
son? Didn't I
She
get
not
my
in the car,
son?
so we can have sex.
Just when you think you've heard it all, you haven't. Mr. Daniel takes the stand and says he knew Ms. Petty had a past thing with Mr. Ballet, but he's been there for Alea from the start. Just when things were almost sweet, his doubts start to creep back in.
But you two were in a relationship, right?
Yes.
You obviously have doubt, but how did that doubt come about?
We were at the hospital and situation where I looked at her and figured out that she has a little possibility to look like AJ, which is her son.
That could just be because she's both of their mother.
Yes.
This part might actually make you go, aw. Mr. Daniel shares that he was a foster kid himself and doesn't want that for Alea, so he's been stepping up. The judge gives him props for trying, but you know it can't stay this calm for long.
I love kids, family person, and from my history, I've been a foster child since I was 4.
So you were breaking cycles of your own,
Yes.
and yet you still stepped in.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's commendable.
And here's where it gets juicier. Ms. Petty tells the judge that she kept things going with Mr. Ballet while dating Mr. Daniel because she was still kind of stuck on him. Judge Lake isn't buying the excuse and calls her out on it. But you know this is far from over.
So when's the last time you and Mr. Ball had a sexual relationship?
Last week.
It was not last week. It was the last time we had a sexual relationship is when she said they broke up.
Feel.
She didn't say anything like that.
During this time, have you suspected that they were still together?
Sometimes I have my doubts, like, okay, they're not together, and then they are together.
Oh, things just took a wild turn. Mr. Daniel says he once caught Ms. Petty and Mr. Ball together, and he's got all the juicy details. This is one love triangle gone very, very wrong.
Did you find evidence that they were together?
I came home, I see his car outside, so I walk around to the window, I look in there, and all of a sudden, looking around to see what's going on, I see her hand, he's laying down, her hands is in his boxers.
What? You all had another sexual encounter that day.
I wasn't even trying to that day.
But not about
I promise you.
The moment everyone's been waiting for, the DNA results.
Is the biological father. Mr. Ball, you are her father.
Now here's the kicker. Mr. Richardson signed the birth certificate even though he wasn't even sure he was the dad. She's saying he had every chance to back out, but now he's regretting it. Things are about to get even more awkward.
Mr. Richardson, you claim you made a huge mistake. You signed the birth certificate of the defendant's 2-month-old son, DeMarlon, even though you doubt you are his father. You want to prove your case before you end up paying child support for a baby you know isn't yours.
And here's where it starts getting hilarious. Mr. Richardson says he had doubts because the baby looked, well, way too light. Judge Lake reminds them that looks aren't everything, but Mr. Richardson is still side-eyeing the whole thing. You won't believe how they met.
When I saw the baby, he was so white. He looked like a Mexican or something. He was just real light.
A
He was real light.
Mexican, that doesn't matter. Children come in all shapes and sizes, and he just had spent 9 months or more in the womb.
That's true. Yana, you gotta realize, when I was dating her, she was very sneaky.
Believe it or not, this whole situation started in a club of all places. Mr. Richardson remembers meeting Ms. Robbins there, and right off the bat, she told him she was married, but kind of hinted she'd be open to hanging out. Now, they're bringing up the night DeMarlon was conceived.
I met her at a club, came, approached her, didn't think she was gonna give me the time of day or nothing.
So he pursued me.
You're right about that. I did pursue you.
For a long time.
And we got to talking, and then she told me, she said, I'm married, but I'm willing to maybe see you or something, play around with you.
Things get weirdly specific as Ms. Robbins describes the night they think they made DeMarlon, a night she calls a blessing for her new home. The judge is just trying to keep a straight face at this point. Wait till you hear about the pregnancy test.
Is DeMarlon's biological father?
No doubt. And I know that, like, the night we conceived, it was me and him. I remember a lot. He doesn't even remember, like, people's names, his middle name. He don't remember nothing.
So
how are you going to say that you remember the night that we conceived when you can't even remember what the next...
Do you remember the night?
I remember the night.
Okay.
This part gets gets even stranger when they take the pregnancy test together, but Mr. Richardson is still acting like he's not totally convinced. Pretending gets him through for now, but it's clear he's full of doubts, and he's about to lay out his reasons.
What do you want to do? I said, we're gonna have the baby because we doing some stupid stuff. Not gonna blame this child. We're gonna have it.
So you decided that we should have the baby?
You were pretending like you were happy?
That's nice. That's nice. And still be with me the whole time.
Sneaky, but I mean,
like I don't get it.
I mean, because
of what? I'm sorry.
Pregnant sex.
Okay.
Just when you think it couldn't get worse, Mr. Richardson drops more reasons why he's not buying this whole dad thing. Mr. Richardson feels it's just one more reason not to trust the situation, but then he starts questioning her finances.
Mr. Richardson, please tell me if there's any other reason you have doubt.
I went to one doctor's appointment with her, right? And then I went to go to the other ones. She told me, no, you don't have to come.
I don't need you to hold my hand.
I don't need you to hold my hand.
You're telling me he's not mine, this is not my baby, all this the whole time. So why would I let you be a part of that?
Now, we dive into the money mystery. Mr. Richardson wants to know where Ms. Robbins suddenly got cash for Christmas. Ms. Robbins is just rolling her eyes, saying she got it all legit. Next up, things get personal as he accuses her of cheating.
Christmas time. She just moved into our new place. She had to put down $2,800. She was complaining to me that I have no Christmas money to buy.
But I didn't ask you for any money at that time either, did I?
She come up with all this money after she put this down payment on her to move in our place. And I said, where you get this money from? She told me I got it from my 401k. I said, that fast?
Well, I have been on my job as what they call a Christmas account.
And here's where things get spicy. Mr. Richardson thinks Ms. Robbins was out with someone else because she came home smelling like intimacy. Judge Lake tries to keep the peace, but Mr. Richardson's doubts are getting bigger by the second. And then there's the whole missed DNA test appointment.
She came home, Yana. She sat next to me. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, I recognize that smell. I haven't had it in a while, but I recognize it. I said, you smell like sack. I don't know what you at work.
I'm doing that, but I'm at work all day, but that's how I come home smelling, really?
Sometimes you tell me you better.
We're not going to say how you smell when you come home from work.
Well,
here's the kicker. Ms. Robbins actually had an appointment for a DNA test, but ended up canceling it, which only makes Mr. Richardson more suspicious. Judge Lake points out that dodging the test looks pretty fishy. By now, the judge has had enough.
She made an appointment. We supposed to split 135. It was 2 something to go get a DNA test. She said, I set an appointment. I'm gonna come at 4:30. 3:30 come, sitting around, okay. Appointment's at 4:30. 4 o'clock come, we sitting around. 4:15, we sitting around. I'm like, what's up? And I asked her.
But did you go to the appointment?
No, Your Honor.
This case hits a boiling point as Judge Lake starts calling them out for all this back and forth nonsense. But finally, she's about to reveal the results, and everyone's on edge.
This is honest, Ms. Robbins. Whether he's right or wrong, only the DNA is gonna be able to decide that. He feels like what you say has no credibility. Because when you met him, you not married, then you was married, then you gotta get your divorce decree online. You don't have a physical copy of it. And in this moment in time, you have the opportunity to resolve all of this and shut him up.
Judge Lake decides to really push Ms. Robbins on why she dodged the DNA test that could have solved all of this. The judge gives both of them a piece of her mind about all these games. And now, here come the DNA results.
That looks like you dodging the test.
But I'm not, though.
We got the appointment.
We were going to
reschedule it now. Why?
We rescheduled it because I told him that we could do it at a later.
Was it because he was already on the birth certificate and you felt like, you know what, you're the legal father anyway, so I really don't have to get up out of my bed.
No, I really didn't care about
playing games and being silly while DeMarlon is still on pause.
At long last, the big reveal is here.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Richardson, you are the father.
You won't believe this? Stay tuned as this is about to get seriously messy. Mr. Andrews and his mom are suing Ms. Corbett, saying she faked his signature on their kid's birth certificate. And trust me, it's just getting started.
Mr. Andrews, you and your mother are in court today suing your ex, Ms. Corbett, for paternity fraud because you claim she forged your signature on the birth certificate of her 5-month-old son, who you believe is not your biological son.
Things are heating up as Mr. Andrews spills the tea on the day of the baby's birth, and you'll want to see who jumps in next with their side of the story.
Day of the birth, I cut the umbilical cord, I requested a blood test, I stayed at the hospital for like 24 hours, and the following day I ended up leaving to retrieve a car seat. I didn't sign nothing.
You claim somebody put your name on the birth certificate.
Yeah, obviously.
No, it's no way possible for me to just put his name on a birth certificate. The only reason why he's saying that he did not sign the birth certificate is because his mother told him not to sign my child's birth certificate.
If you thought things couldn't get wilder, think again. Mr. Andrews throws out a big one, accusing Ms. Corbett of, well, seeing the whole neighborhood. Judge Lake steps in, telling everyone to keep it respectful, but we all know it's about to get even juicier.
I wouldn't even call it a relationship, Your Honor, because she slept with the whole damn city, the whole neighborhood.
Let's use respectful language in the courtroom.
She slept around with everybody in our neighborhood.
If that was true, I would have slept with her husband because he wanted me to.
Oh, Lord.
That's a lie.
Okay, let's stay on track.
Now, here's where things go full detective mode. Mr. Andrews pulls out a diagram of the apartment, explaining why he thinks Ms. Corbett had another guy over. But wait until you hear about the mystery text.
Your Honor,
What does this diagram show?
this right here is a two-story apartment building. This right here, like 2 feet from the driveway, is like the front entrance. And you could sit right here and like literally watch all this. And if somebody merged him over here, it'd be real obvious. The guy she had in there tried to creep around and sneak on this side of the building and come out. She even had a bike in inside the house.
Just when you think this can't get crazier, in comes Mr. Andrews with another bombshell. Ms. Corbett rolls her eyes, calling him a liar. But hang on, because next, it's about the baby.
Is this your only doubt?
No, ma'am. Found messages in her phone where some guy obviously was telling her, leave the back door open and be naked when I arrive.
Oh, you saw the message?
Yes, ma'am. She denied that in my face. I'm looking at the message in the phone. That's one reason.
Ms. Corbett?
That's like the third reason. The other reason I just showed you on the diagram.
And now it's accusation central. Ms. Corbett claims Mr. Andrews barely sees the baby and once even threatened to drop him off at a fire station. But she's about to lay down the law about what really matters here, paternity.
So how many times have you seen Quinn Jr.?
Over a dozen times.
So you spent quality time with him?
He does not. I have to beg him for to come get my child. He was there 6 days. I told Quinn, I said, Quinn, you have to come meet me somewhere. I can't drive all the way down there. He was gonna drop my child off at a fire station.
Your Honor, I told her that just to get her to move because she lied to me and told me she was threatening me with the police.
Surprise, surprise.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Andrew, you are the father.
Let it be known